Hello and welcome. It's me, Marls44, and welcome back to another Cardfight Vanguard updated deck profile on the Oracle Think Tank, which is post GBT12 Dragon King's Awakening. So yeah, Dragon King's Awakening came out in October, and I finally bought the cards I needed for this deck. It's been a long time since I've done this. New playmat. Well, not really a playmat. It's mouse and keyboard mat, but I can use it as a playmat too. Beautiful mat, I love it. I still have my Urza mat though. And yeah, Oracle Think Tank, after the support it got in GBT12, is a lot stronger now. I really love the new support they added in, and it's just awesome. It's awesome to update my deck again. My main deck. I only update my main deck at this point in real life, because I don't really have that much money to buy cards, so I can only focus on this deck, and then the rest I can test it out in Cardfight area and do that type of stuff, because that still works too. But yeah, this is the deck I will definitely always do this with. You guys know that, I've mentioned it before. But yeah, without further ado, let us head into the deck profile. So let's get this started, shall we? I'm super excited. It's been so long, and I pretty much have all the cards I need, besides a couple extra copies of a certain card. But we'll get to that when we get there. It's a strike card. It's actually pretty expensive, so yeah. Anywho, our starter, Little Witch LuLu, empties the soul, gets us a plus. The usual stuff. You need her for this type of deck. It's impossible not to play her. So yeah, starting Vanguard, and then we have. Wait, where's the fourth CoCo? The fourth CoCo ran away from me. I'll find it in a second. Found it. It was at the bottom of my grade 2s for some reason. So we got 4 Scarlet Witch CoCo, our starting Vanguard. Yeah, usual thing as always, just get that +2 right away, and yeah, just that stuff as per usual. And then of course, just like last time with the Witches deck, we got 4. What was her name again? Rose Red Witch CooCoo. I couldn't remember the part before CooCoo. Yeah, so 4 of her. She's just very, very helpful for the 11k base. Yeah, she doesn't hit as hard as CoCo does, because CoCo can hit 21 with Gemini, but the 11k base is extremely important. Very, very, very important. So it's worth it to give that up. And plus, she can get her own pluses. When you ride, you get to like counterblast and then draw 2 and drop a card. So basically what Cookie did, except she's witches, and that helps out with a certain stride that is just insanely strong as well, which is a big reason why this deck is just so strong in what it does, and why witches is a thing. So yeah, that's a grade 3 lineup. Very, very standard. Very standard? It is standard, because you need all 4 witches to be able to use the strides ability. Mimi is the card's name, and yeah, you gotta have as many witches as you possibly can. Don't overdo it though, because you can't overdo it. Anyway, we got 4 of a new card. Her name is 1 Advantage Miko Nanase. Nanase? I'm gonna go with that. The name's getting harder and harder to pronounce. Anyways, what she does is Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1 when this unit attack hits a Vanguard. You may pay the cost. If you do, look at 2 cards from the top of your deck, put 1 card from among them into your hand, and put 1 card from among them on the bottom of your deck. And then its other ability is Oracle G-Break 2. During your turn, this unit gets +1k for each card in your hand, which is really good, honestly. Especially because a lot of the time I'll be holding like 8 cards in my hand. That's an extra 8k, 17k. Add Gemini onto that. That's a lot, man. Freaking 25k right there. Like, that's a crazy amount. And if you're holding 9, well, 26. But yeah, she can get pretty scary when you have a lot of cards in hand. And I mean, it's Oracle, so you try to get as many cards as you can in your hand. She's also very good for making sure you stay soulless, the Soulless OTT thing, because you do need that with witches, because CooCoo only works if you have 1 or less cards in your soul. Same thing with CoCo, so both of them work off of that. meaning that's helpful. She's helpful for soul blasting, and she gets you, you know, that one counter blast draw if it hits. So amazing draw pressure as well, and just a really solid card with that huge power boost she can get too. So just an amazing card, amazing add to the deck. I love this card now. And then we have 4 Rigid Crane, so very handy. Damage on flipper, gets a boost as well, you know, with the G-Break Oracle as well, and also he can Soul Charge, which you can use for her. So you can get pluses off of him hitting, so it brings more pressure onto your opponent for him hitting, because she can get pluses off of it, and it just gets crazy. And there's like a Stride that can get pluses too, and there's also a Stride that can do what Rigid Crane can, but we can't run many of those because lineup's pretty awesome, pretty tight though, but for Stride, but still just really solid. So 4 of Rigid Crane, can't run any less, just like her. And then we got 3 Silent Tom. So Silent Tom, staple card in an Oracle deck. I would like to run 4, but with the way the Witches works, it's okay to run 3, especially with the Stride, with the certain Stride unit. You don't need him later on in the game as much as you think, which is good because, you know, he's an AK and it's like he can just die so easily. So it's great that you don't have to rely on him and like protect him as much. He's still very important, still very important, but you have a Stride that does what he does, except better, but only on that turn. So you do need to be careful with that, but nonetheless, just very solid card, and you still need 3 of him, no less. So, and then we're gonna move on to our grade 1s now. So I still do not have the unflipping Perfect Guard. I'll put the name there and like the picture of the card as per usual, but 4 damage on flipper Perfect Guards, I still don't have it. They were all out of it. Shock-a-lot is what I have, and plus, you know, the Perfect Guards are always expensive, so that's always a problem for me too, but that's okay. And then we have 4 Stride enablers, so very important, especially with the Witch deck. Insanely important. You have to run 4 in this deck. Yeah, because of Mimi as well. You're going to be dropping a couple Witches, and then, you know, they might be grade 3s, so you really need something to be able to Stride with. And then we have 3 Emerald Witch LaLa. Now at first, I know I didn't like playing this card. I'm going to move this up a little bit. I didn't like playing this card at first, but I found out, you know, I found out and I realized how important she is. You don't use her for her skill at all. She's basically, you try to use her for fodder for Mimi as much as you can. Because you try not to drop your grade 3s, so you can use them for Strides, and also use them to ride as well if you need to. But yeah, LaLa is just really important for that, and you know, the drop and draw can help in those rare situations, but she's not for that. She's for the Witch drop. You need 3 of her because she's just so important, and with Silent Tom not being as important, you can run, you know, 1 less Gemini, which we run 3 Geminis. Gemini is still crazy staple card in the Oracle deck. Still need it, but yeah, you can bear without the 1 and run 3 instead, because LaLa is just too important for Mimi. You just really need her in the deck. Like, I cannot stress that enough. I made a grave mistake not running her the last time, and I have fixed that. So, especially with, you know, all the updates, sometimes I do not think of the simplest things, but we know that by now. Anywho, so we got 4 Psychic Birds, and 4 Oracle Guardian Nike, and then 4 Battle Sister Ginger, so 12 crit, and then 4 Lozenge Magus, and then the special different Lozenge Magus, because why not? So 12 crit, 4 heal, the standard lineup for this deck, because yeah, you know how it works, the usual stuff. Ugh, oh man, I really picked that up bad. I'll fix it after. Whoops, my bad. Anyways, let's move on to our Stride units. So we have 4 Floral Witchmaster Mimi. Super duper strong in this deck. I don't know how many times I could say super duper. But yeah, just an amazing card for this deck. she's just so strong. She's the reason Witches works so well, and just amazing with that pressure of either giving your opponent damage or forcing them to drop a couple cards, which is crucial for any deck. So yeah, just amazing. Need 4 of them. Gotta try to use them as much as possible, which is also why we need LaLa. And then we have 4 Stillwater Festival with the Ichikishima. So 4 of her. So she's the card I was actually talking about that I only got 1 of. So this is the card I'm talking about, if you can see it. So these are just kind of like, these are also supposed to be her. All of this is supposed to be her. All 4. That's just, I didn't get the other 3, so I did this for proxy for now. But just know you have to have 4 of her. Have to. What she does is, once per turn, you counterblast 1 and soul blast 1. Choose a face down card with the same name as this unit from your G zone. Turn it face up and draw 2 cards. So that is insane. It's basically what CooCoo does, except you soul blast. You soul blast 1 and counterblast. So that's awesome. Like, that's amazing. And you get the +2 like you do with CoCo, and you don't have to drop anything. So just an amazing stride unit to keep that up, to keep that pressure up with the draw cards. And it also makes Nanase even better, because you can just get so much off of her. And her other skill is amazing too. There's a lot of unflipping units in the G zone with her though, so you do need to be very careful on how you use her. But 4 of her is amazing. Usually the first time I'll use her to unflip herself, but then the second time I'll use her second skill, which is once per turn, G break 3 Oracle. Choose a face down card from your G zone and turn it face up. So you can turn any card face up, which means you have 2 more uses of her, and you could just turn random cards face up that you didn't use, which happens all the time. So what you get is, during that turn, your opponent cannot call G Guardians and grade 0 cards from their hand to Guardian Circle. So it's not just for 1 unit like Silent Tom, it's your opponent can't do it that whole turn, and it's also G Guardians, making this card an amazing pressure card, which also makes Nanase even better, because now you actually have a card to push with a lot of power that can really end the game. And at that point, Tom's kind of useless because he does what she does. And Tom's definitely helpful before she can use that effect. Tom's very good, but yeah, you can see why we run 3 now. It's just because of her. She does that, but she does it for the whole turn, not just when Tom's attacking. So it's amazing, but as I said, be careful with the unflips. As I said, usually what I personally like to do and what I think works best is use her first, use it to unflip herself and get the 2 draws, and then the next 2 times you use her, use it for the other ability, the G break 3 ability. So you'll use a couple Mimis by then, and your opponent loses 2 cards, and then you or 4 cards, or 2 cards in a damage, or takes 2 damage, and then you get those 2 with no grade 0 cards and no G Guardians. Good luck. I hope you live. I'm a 12 crit deck. It's pretty crazy. I personally think that's the best way to do it, just because it really destroys your opponent. So just amazing. Anywho, and then we got 4 of our G Guardians. Sunrise on High, Godhawk, Ichibyoshi. What this card does is, when this unit is placed on Guardian Circle, if the number of cards in your hand is 3 or more, it gets shield plus 5k until the end of the battle. So that's not too bad. There's not really any amazing Oracle Think Tank G Guardians, but with how much you draw, I'm not surprised. There is one other one you could run. You could take out one of these and run the Amaterasu G Guardian, because she can soul charge, which makes it a little easier to use her if you want. Sometimes if you don't hit with like Rigid Crane, or you don't ride on Vanguard with CooCoo, and you've already used that soul, but it's no big deal. I don't really find that you need it, just because of Rigid Crane and everything, and yeah, and just riding another CooCoo if you need it to use her again, as I said. So yeah, I don't find you need it. I think 4 of these is good, especially with that extra plus 5k, and you pretty much almost all the time you have more than 3 cards in your hand. So yeah, that's another reason. Easy plus 5k for you. Then we got 2 Lord of Guidance Wakahirume. I can't say that name, I'm so sorry. What she does is G-Break 2 Oracle, Counterblast 1 and Soul Blast 1. Choose a face down card, name this card from your G zone and turn it face up. When this unit attacks Vanguard, you can pay the cost. If you do, draw a card, choose a card from your hand, and put it on the top of your deck. So this card's pretty awesome. I kind of just have it for clutch moments, I guess. When you have like maybe a bunch of crits in your hand and your opponent really can't take it, you know, after all the memes and everything. You could try to use this to end your opponent if you weren't able to end it with her, which, you know, sometimes happens. But yeah, usually what I do with her is you draw the card and then you put a crit back on top of your deck, so when you attack, you're going to drive check the crit, and it can make a huge difference, especially, you know, with triple drive. So pretty amazing, just a pretty good clutch card to just end the game. In those moments when you need it. Sometimes you don't need it. Sometimes it comes in handy so much. So yeah, 2 of it you need to, because she has to unflip herself. But yeah, just amazing card, honestly. Gotta run 2 of her. No more is needed than that though, because of the other cards we run, as you could tell. And then we have 1 Spiritual Deity of Benevolence, Ame-no-Sagume. I hope I said that right. So her. What she does is Oracle, choose a face down card from G zone and turn it face up. When this unit attacks, you pay the cost. If you do, until the end of the battle, this unit gets auto Vanguard. When this unit attack hits a Vanguard, draw 2 cards, choose a card from your hand, discard it, and soul charge 1 and counter charge 1. So she's kind of handy to get that extra soul charge or counter charge. I usually use her early on, sometimes if you need it. If you don't need it, it's okay. She's just kind of there if you need it for that support. Like, she basically gets you 2 free draws if it hits, and then you get to counter charge and soul charge 1, which could be used into her. So it gets pretty crazy, or Nanase if you really need to, but definitely her. I prefer it on her. So yeah, she's just very helpful for support in that way. Getting you 2 cards as well, just by hitting your opponent if you flip a card face up. So that's amazing. And then, you know, you can soul charge 1 and unflip 1, and you can use it for her skill right afterwards, if need be. If you don't have a card in soul by then, or a card flipped face up. So she can be pretty handy with that. Crazy pressure. Just great to have 1 of her. Great support card, honestly. Then we have 1 Soaring Auspicious Beast, Kirin. So we have 1 of this card. You don't have to run this. You could actually run Blizza instead, or the Amaterasu Stride as well, that has the G-Break 8. Or you could also run the Rain Element Meadow for 10k grade 3s. But the reason I run this card instead of any of those 3 is just because if you can't use Mimi, and you can't use her because maybe your opponent stopped you from you know, being able to use CoCo's ability, because sometimes they won't attack to do so, this card can always get you something, whether it be pressure. This card can get you something if it hits. Any of the other cards can't really do much for you in that situation, and you have all the support and all the strength you need in all of your other stride units. So I definitely think this is the best choice just to have in your pocket in case that situation comes up, so you can use it to try to get a card back at least, right? A card that you should have gotten, but your opponent didn't attack for it. They didn't get a drive check, but you know, you didn't get your +2. So that can happen sometimes, and yeah, that's where this card can come in handy, basically. You know, it's like when you get cock blocked. This is the card that helps you when you get cock blocked. That's basically what this card is for. Alright, so that is it for the updated deck profile on Witches. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It is a pretty solid deck, like crazy solid with what it can do with the stride units and just all the units and everything. You have an option for pretty much everything now, which is awesome. Because, you know, the Soulless OTT struggled in like that one area of being stopped when using CoCo's ability, which is why I really like running the 1 Kirin, as I said, because it can just help with that to relieve that bit of pressure and relieve that bit of a problem of your opponent did not attack and not give you the damage you wanted. So yeah, this deck is just super solid, super crazy powerful with just what it can do with the witches and everything. I explained it all, and just amazing. I love it. That is it for this deck profile. Hope you liked it, and we'll catch you guys next time. So we'll see you guys then.